Hello, welcome to today's episode of the Academy. Now today we're going to finish up our discussion here about area denial, and it's really we're going to focus more in terms of using weapon systems to impede the progress of the enemy. Okay, and weapon systems can be described as anything other than your unit's physical presence that would hinder an opponent from making an approach into a certain area. Okay, but again, just like last week, it's kind of hard to describe all this just by talking it through. So let's head down to the table and take a look at this. All right? Okay, a little bit of a disclaimer here. It's very easy to set up tables to obviously make the best case situation and in any concept, but remember, the purpose of this is just to show the concept, illustrate it, help you understand it so you can apply it where you do see it. So here we're going to go with short table edge deployment in our typical cityscape, and we'll go over a couple examples of area denial using firepower. First thing you want to notice is that there's not a lot that's visible to the opponent overall. Matter of fact, if you come from this side, there's not much in the way at all. But if you look at it from where the models are positioned, this unit can cover basically shooting at anything coming out in the open here, which it will want to do. This unit in the ruins has a nice field of fire, shooting anything that walks out in the open there, or tries to move through the streets. Obviously, we all know about high positions. It's got a really good field of fire across the entire opponent's table half, which is obviously a key. So it's going to be risky moving out in the open for the opponent. And back here, a little bit of fire support covering these two angles, but especially down, especially what's here down the street. Finally, the hammerhead, nice long field of fire down the street. Now, the purpose of that, again, remember, you're not trying to prevent the opponent from taking an area like you were with the area denial concept of using movement and position. Here, you're trying to make it costly. So if the opponent does try to advance up this part of the table through relatively open terrain, he's going to be facing a lot of firepower. If he gets in the open, he gets visible to this unit here, he's going to have some high firepower, high AP to deal with. Of course, here, as soon as anything comes around that corner, there's some heavy hitters down here. Opponent tries to move up this street, he's eventually going to run into some infantry that are hiding in cover. Now, we keep talking about firepower for area denial, but there's a different type of firepower I want to bring up, and that's the close combat attack. This unit is completely blind to most of the table, so they're not going to contribute anything to the firepower side of things if you just strictly use shooting as your definition of firepower. What their purpose will be is to put a threat in front of the opponent, so if he does try to move up this street, he will be assaulted by this unit. In fact, another good example is over here. This unit hiding behind the tower, whether the opponent comes through and defeats this Fire Warrior squad or this one, coming in either side of the tower, approaching it will be subject to attack by this. Anytime you get a unit that's going to assault you, there is always the risk of losing your models. So, again, trying to make it more costly for the opponent to approach from a particular direction is what you're trying to do with this type of area denial. Now, let me show one extreme example. We're working long table edge deployment. The opponent may forget where your units are sometimes, and unless they walk around to your side of the table, they may not actually see them. And remember, so if this segment here, this road, is wide open to the opponent's advance, but when they get to the other side, there's actually two units of close combat troops right around the corner. So with a simple 6 or 7 inch move, each unit will be out in position to assault anything that's in this area. So that has an opportunity of really costing the opponent a lot of both units, time, and tactical position if they do not deal with these before they get their units forward. So those kind of concepts of how you deal with using firepower in the space of area denial. So quick summary, we're talking about actually good fields of fire, making it costly to advance through that open terrain, blocking units that will spring out and go into close combat when the opponent gets too near, and any position that covers large fields of fire and hopefully even support each other, making any approach through that area very costly.
All right, so that's the whole concept of area denial using weapon systems of some sort. Again, you're not keeping the opponent from being in a spot, but you are seriously impacting their ability to move through it. Okay, so you don't prevent them, you delay them. You make their lives miserable. All right. So hope you learned something from that. If you did, please comment below. Let me know. Again, share, like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. And we'll see you next week in the next edition of the Academy. Bye-bye.